Walk into Amir's apartment and you'll find a 2019 Toyota Corolla key by the door, a meal prep container in the fridge, and a brokerage account he hasn't touched since he bumped his contribution last April. No trading apps on his phone. His TV is from 2017. There's a sticky note on his laptop that says don't touch it, let it grow. He's 34. His investment account sits at $285,000. Walk into Daniel's place, and the first thing you notice is the brand new BMW key on the kitchen counter. There are 2 Amazon boxes still unopened from last week. A Robinhood alert is blinking on his phone. There's a DoorDash bag from Tuesday still on the table. It's Friday. Daniel has been meaning to check his credit card balance since September. He keeps pushing it back. He already knows it's bad. Same city, same job title, close enough in salary that the difference doesn't explain what I'm about to show you. Amir has $285,000 in investments at 34. Daniel has $8,500 and a $760 monthly car payment he quietly regrets every time he unlocks it. This is not a story about income. This is a story about 10 habits so unglamorous, so thoroughly unsexy, that most people skip right past them while they wait for the big move. The move isn't coming. This is the move. My name is Matt. We run the actual math on why some people quietly escape the financial hamster wheel, while others spin on it until they're 70. Before the list, let me expose the lie financial media keeps selling you. You haven't built wealth yet because you haven't found the right strategy. A Ramsey Solutions study of over 10,000 everyday millionaires found that 79% inherited nothing. A third never earned 6 figures in a single year. Their top career? Engineer. Second? Accountant. Not crypto. Not day trading. Accountant. And it took them a median of 28 years, not of genius, just 28 years of boring habits, while compound interest did the heavy lifting. Let's run the numbers on all 10. Vanguard's data shows auto-enrolled employees save 12.1% of their pay. Voluntary enrollees? 7.6%. On a $60,000 salary, that gap, compounded at 10% over 30 years, is approximately $400,000. Not from a better investment, from removing the decision entirely. Set your 401k to auto-increase. Schedule transfers on payday. The money moves before you feel it leave. That's not discipline, that's design. The average new car payment is now $748 a month. Dealerships stretch loans to 7, even 10 years, to make the monthly number feel manageable. The car still loses half its value in 3 years. That's $748 monthly. Invested in an S&P 500 index fund at 10% for 30 years? $1.69 million. Ronald Red was a gas station attendant and janitor his whole life. He drove a beat-up Toyota and pinned his fraying jacket shut. When he died in 2014, he left $8 million to his local hospital. The used car wasn't his limitation. It was proof he understood something most people never do. Amir spends $420 a month on food. Daniel spends $900, DoorDash 4 nights a week, daily lunches out, Friday dinners. That $480 monthly gap, invested at 10% over 25 years? Approximately $630,000. From a slow cooker and a slightly boring Sunday. A home-cooked meal averages $5 per serving. A restaurant meal averages $23. The Ramsey millionaires spent 2 to 1 in favor of the kitchen. Nobody frames Tuesday's dinner as a wealth decision, but Tuesday, compounded over 25 years, absolutely is. The bank's job is not to tell you what you can comfortably afford. The bank's job is to give you the maximum loan it believes you won't immediately default on. Those are 2 very different numbers. A household earning $100,000 that keeps housing at 25% instead of 35% frees up $10,000 a year. At 10% over 30 years? $1.8 million, not from a better investment. From buying the second best house instead of the best one. For a lot of people, the house isn't the reward. It's the reason there's nothing else. 86% of Americans say they budget. 84% of those people regularly exceed it. That's not budgeting. That's having a number you feel guilty about after the fact, and it does absolutely nothing. Tracking is about information. When you actually look, you find the $340 in forgotten subscriptions, the $600 in convenience fees, the $180 in bank charges on an account you should have switched 2 years ago. You cannot make strategic decisions about money you're not looking at. Most people aren't looking, and they find out at the end of every month when the number is smaller than it should be, and they can never explain why. Tracking explains why. You get a raise. Within 90 days, your spending has upgraded to match. That's hedonic adaptation. The brain normalizes every new baseline in about 3 months. The fix is almost insultingly simple. The moment a raise is confirmed, before the first new paycheck arrives, increase your automated retirement contribution. Your lifestyle never learns what it was supposed to get, so it can't miss it. Investing half of a $5,000 annual raise over 20 years at 10% compounds to $157,000. The full raise? $315,000. From telling your bank account before you tell your lifestyle. Dalbar's 2025 report. The average equity investor earned 16.54% in 2024. The S&P 500 returned 25.02%. That 8.48% gap wasn't bad luck. It was the cost of trying too hard. After 15 years, there are 0 categories where the majority of professional active fund managers beat their benchmark. 0. These are people with Bloomberg terminals, research teams, and decades of experience. The strategy that beats most of them fits on a napkin. Low-cost index fund, automated contributions. Leave it completely alone. The boring option isn't the consolation prize. It is the strategy. It will. 37% of Americans in 2024 couldn't cover a $400 emergency with cash. 1 in 3 finances that emergency on a credit card at 22.3% interest. You cannot build wealth at 10% while you're financing emergencies at 22%. The emergency is eating the investment. 3 to 6 months of expenses. High-yield savings account. Not exciting, not Instagram-worthy, but the exact reason some people's financial lives survive contact with reality, and some don't. A Brazilian study tracked 1,600 committed day traders over 300-plus days. 97% lost money. The FTC analyzed 70 MLM income disclosures. Approximately 99% of participants lost money when expenses were factored in. The brochure shows a beach. The math shows a bill. The crypto tip from your coworker. The real estate syndication from someone you've met twice. The coaching program that replaces your income in 90 days for $2,997. They all share the same architecture, a vivid story about the upside, and the statistics about the downside left entirely out of the conversation. The rule: if someone is excited to bring you an opportunity, be proportionally skeptical. The S&P 500 has never once pitched you on its returns. It just quietly delivers them year after year, with no hype and no deck. The average American spends $3,381 a year on impulse purchases. Impulse desire has a half-life. The emotional urgency drops sharply within 24 to 72 hours. You're not saying no. You're saying check back Friday. Most of the time, Friday arrives, and the answer is no, without a fight, without willpower. Cut impulse, spending in half. $141 saved monthly. Invested at 10% over 25 years, approximately $180,000. From a calendar reminder and 3 days of patience. Amir is 34. He has $285,000 in investments, a paid-off car, and a high-yield savings account he barely thinks about. At his current trajectory, by age 53, he'll have somewhere between $1.10 and $1.4 million, without changing careers, without finding the thing. Just 10 boring habits, and 2 more decades of compounding running quietly in the background. Daniel is 34. He has $8,500, a car worth less than he owes on it, and a Robinhood account down 28% from a tip that genuinely made sense at the time. He's not a failure. He's not irresponsible. He's just been optimizing for how things feel in the moment, instead of what they add up to over time. And the gap between him and Amir, which started as almost nothing, is now $276,500 and compounding wider every single year. Here's what none of these 10 habits are actually about. Not restriction, not being cheap. They're about one specific kind of power that most people trade away, so gradually they never notice it's gone. The power to absorb what life throws at you without it becoming a catastrophe. When something goes wrong for Amir, it's an inconvenience. When something goes wrong for Daniel, it's a crisis. Grace Groner did this with $180 and 3 shares of stock. Ronald Reed did it on a janitor's salary. Warren Buffett still lives in the house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. They didn't have better information. They didn't find the thing. They just let boring run long enough to become extraordinary. Pick one habit from this list. Do it this week. The compound effect doesn't require perfection. It just requires you stop waiting for the exciting version of this to show up. It won't. This is the version. And the math is already working for whoever starts first. If this gave you a different way to think about your money, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What financial trap do you want Matt FinLab to run the numbers on next? I'll make it thoroughly unsexy and genuinely worth your time.